welcome to another episode of Christian Ricky. Thank you so much for tuning in. This week we will be continuing part 2 of What Should Singleness Look Like with GC. I hope you enjoyed last week's conversation. It was so insightful discussing what singleness is, what it means to be single, and what it is that we're supposed to be doing during that singleness time. So in this episode, we'll just be continuing that conversation. Please don't forget to share, and if you have any comments, do share. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the conversation. So I feel like the guys would really want to know, because the last time with Shanae, we spoke about boundaries, and most guys have been saying to me like, this stuff sounds like you guys are just ladies talking, fairy tale vibes. How would you say dating for you has been now that you're single, and I'm assuming you ready to mingle, if I could say that. How has dating as a Christian been for you, and with regards to setting your boundaries and also finding someone who understands your boundaries and respects them as well?
Yeah, so I think for me, right off the bat, I need to define uh, what dating is for me, because I recognize that it may not be true for everyone.
Yeah.
And that I hold a view that I think only a few people would probably live with, because it comes with it a responsibility. And especially for us guys, can I just stop here and talk about coming into this? We are the leaders. And so we carry the responsibility of the entire process. And so for me, it begins with this. Before we can even talk about what dating is, we need to talk about why date. Well, for me, it's actually quite simple. I date only to get married.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, sorry, but right there, I've just lost a lot of people because
you have.
It means for me that if there's no real prospect of getting married to this person in the near future, given what I can see in them, relative to what I know about myself in God and what I hope to do going forward, I'm not dating them.
Yeah.
There's another term that I've just come across recently, which I have now incorporated into my vocabulary, and it was used by a pastor that I love, where this partner refers to a marriage partner as a purpose partner.
I like that.
So
yeah.
The effect of that is that almost everything that is associated with dating for me takes the back seat. Because in fact, what I'm looking for there is almost like I am doing an interview process, head hunting. Come on, think about it for a moment. For a very specific role in this corporation called me.
Yeah. Called you and your purpose, your destiny, basically. Yeah.
Well, exactly. I'm looking for a partner. So in other words, think about it this way. Apart from, if you're Christian, that is, your relationship with God, this is the next most consequential decision of your life. But isn't it interesting that for most of us, when we say dating, what comes to mind? Coffee.
Yeah, go out on a date, romance, hold hands.
Please, I am not saying it is not that too. I'm just saying the tension I live in, and I'm just going to have a transparent moment here with my brothers. The tension I live in is that my emotions drive me one way. When I'm attracted to somebody, the last thing I'm thinking about is, can they be a partner to me? And this is where it gets really difficult, if I'm thoroughly honest right now, is that how do I make sure that my emotions are not dictators, that they are only indicators?
Yes.
So in other words, There's nothing wrong with being attracted to somebody. In fact, I want to be attracted to my wife. Come on, somebody.
Of course.
I want to be attracted, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
And it cannot be the primary reason why I want to date someone because it seems like a lot of pressure. The only thing that's happening is that you're paying upfront.
Mm. Uh, yeah, that just
So
answers
don't
it
be fooled.
rightly. Yeah.
Don't be fooled. You're going to pay anyway. The question
Mm.
is, when do you want to pay?
Mm.
Do you want to pay later by way of divorce when you realize that this person is not great with money and you thought they were because they've racked up so much debt and they keep lying to you because they can never tell you the truth. But you never ask these questions.
Sure.
You never ask how they deal with their parents. And so later on in life, you have a problem because you want your mom to move in with, your mom's coming to move in with you because that's what you're always going to do. And she's like, your mom or me, you choose. You can't.
Hey.
But you never stopped asking to
Mm.
ask these questions because all you cared about was,
The
but I
feelings.
like them.
Mm.
Some of us, and depending on what you're passionate about, so for me, I love cars. When shopping for a car, I will scour the net. I will buy magazines.
Mm.
I will speak to people. I will go and test drive. I'll sit in it. Go back again. Go and sit in it and look at colors. I want to go to forums. I want to read about it.
Mm.
Some of us, including GC, spend more time shopping for objects that are inhumane. Some of us spend more time looking for a pet. Some of us spend more time looking for golf clubs or
Sure.
shopping for a holiday destination, reading reviews on Airbnb and Booking.com, and reading about restaurants before I go, than we do finding the most permanent decision in your life.
Yeah.
For this reason, I think it requires. Can I quote Jesus for a minute here? In the message paraphrase once again, you'll notice I love the message because I grew up on traditional translations. The message comes alive for me. Um, Jesus speaking to his disciples, I think it's around Matthew 19, where he almost scares them about marriage, where they the context is they in the times a man could get divorced for any stupid reason, like I just don't like what she looks like anymore. Like she
Wow.
coughed in my presence. That's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
There was a culture, right? It wasn't
Sure.
illegal. You could do that. And Jesus stops and says, no, actually, divorce doesn't mean you are unmarried because marriage is a covenant.
Mm.
That's a word for somebody today. Just because you are divorced, it doesn't mean you are unmarried because marriage is not a legal contract. The
Mm.
legal contract is for the state. Marriage is in fact a covenant. That's if you believe in God, and covenants are a life,
Mm.
a life agreement because the only
The only
way
way out. Yeah.
should be dead. Now, in that context, and they're like, "Woo!" Like if they're in South Africa, they're like, "Woo!" and they and these. If that he's saying that, right? Jesus then says this, and this is the line I like. He says, "Marriage is serious, and it requires total commitment."
Yeah. Yeah.
Once again, let's pause right here. If you're not dating to get married, that doesn't apply to you. If you don't believe in marriage, it doesn't apply to you. If you don't believe that marriage is a covenant and that it's a God created institution to build as a unit of society, it doesn't apply to you. If you don't believe that marriage is between one man and one woman and it is permanent and for life, it doesn't apply to you. But if all these
Yep.
apply to you, Houston will have a problem. It's time to rethink what dating actually is because we should be thinking about why we're dating.
Yeah.
Too many of us are being led by emotion. And in fact, as we say, nothing changed between knowing God in my BC days and knowing God. I still do the same thing. I just go for the next attractive girl if I'm a guy. They say, girl, you just go for the guy who gives you the most attention and he looks like the image. And again, I
Yeah.
always ask this question: is what, what's this guy that you're going to get married look like, and where does that come from? Too many of you want to get married to a rapper who's a pastor, and that person doesn't exist.
Ooh,
You've
wow, we
never
are such big
questioned.
dreamers.
You've never questioned why you want to get married to a certain type of person because you've just always gone with who you've always been.
Yeah.
Or you're drifting. And that's why your dating will just be anything goes, right?
Mm.
Besides, I'm getting on. I had a friend just earlier tonight, a female friend, who said, I need to get meet babe because I'm not getting any younger. Hmm.
Mm.
So you're going to settle. Can I just stop here for a minute? I'm a 40-year-old divorced man, according to society. I don't describe myself that way, but according to society.
Yeah.
So there are pressures on me. My brother, my older brother, is late. In the African context, it also means I carry the responsibility of carrying the legacy of our name.
Mm.
That comes with pressure.
Yeah.
But what do all of these things mean? Shall I then settle? And so, to go back to your question, and to use a principle by Stephen Covey in the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, I try, and I haven't got it together. I live in this tension, but I intentionally put myself in this tension where I say, I want to begin with the end in mind.
So good. Yeah. Yeah.
That
That is
then
so
means,
good.
let's come back to boundaries. You're like, GC, I thought I asked you that question 20 minutes ago. The context was important. Well, boundaries are only a function of why. So,
Yeah.
so if our why is not the same, we're going to have different levels of boundaries. So, for example, if we don't believe that sex before marriage is an issue, so in other words, you're not Christian, or maybe you are, but you don't quite fully believe that God thinks that that's a big deal, then we're going to have different levels of boundaries because what I'm trying to do may not be what you're trying to do, but what you're trying to do also determines, and this is what I think is important to talk about boundaries. Boundaries in themselves are saying, I'm saying yes to purity and yes to a sanctified marriage. Now, those are all things that we could sit and discuss for a long time, but because I'm saying yes to that, I'm saying no to the following.
Mm.
Driven by my yes to purity, to a sanctified marriage, I therefore decided earlier and have decided going forward. By the way, can we just stop here for a minute? Uh, Boundaries cannot be decided on at a time when you need to be practicing them.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's put it this way.
Yes.
You cannot go into an exam and hope to study while you write the exam. So,
Oh, I
so
just
what
need you.
you
Can you just say that again? Actually, say that again for the people at the back.
so the word prepare, the prefix pre actually just means before time,
Mm.
right? And so if I'm gonna prepare to be dating and to be thinking about boundaries, I want to think about it and conclude it before I start dating.
Mm.
I'm ready for the exam.
Yeah.
What should people be doing in the season of being single? Well, you should be working out what you are saying yes to
Yes.
so that you can then decide what you're saying no to. I think too many of us are defined by what we're saying no
No
to,
to.
and we don't
Mm.
even know why we're saying no to them. And so when they get challenged and questioned, we're like, well,
But yeah.
uh, no. I begin with the yes. I don't begin with the no. I say yes to purity. I say yes to a sanctified marriage.
Yes.
I say yes to a trust relationship with my wife so that my wife will know, even when I'm married for the rest of my life, that I will be attracted to other women. I will be enticed by other women. I will be weak. I will be vulnerable. But here's one thing I won't do. I won't do what I promised I wouldn't do even when I hadn't married her.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
because I'm saying yes to that, I then say no to the following.
Yeah.
I only hug her. I'll only have like a warm embrace, like a holding of hands, but I will not touch her in a way that is this a family show? Can we speak to adults that
No,
will
we're talking to
sexually
speaking to
arouse
adults.
her?
Yeah. Mm.
That will sexually arouse her or me or both of us.
Yeah.
So I have that responsibility that I do that. So and that immediately then says, I know right here you're gonna lose 70% of your listeners right here. But you asked me, so I'm gonna tell you.
Cheeky.
For
Yeah.
me, for me, this is me, guys. By the way, this does it's not a one size fits all. I'm just I'm putting detail to my
Mm.
boundaries. No kissing
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, because definitely boundaries are a personal thing, right? I feel like you
Yeah,
define them for yourself. You know your limits, you know the things that tempt you, so you know where to draw the line.
yeah, yeah. So for me, no kissing, no being in a room alone. So I
Yeah.
can't visit my partner in at a house and there's just the two of us because well, that's not helping me uphold my yes, which is sanctified marriage, purity, trust built with my wife and with me. Not only can she trust me, I can trust myself because I have been living by this. By the way, can we just say, if you're going to start setting boundaries when you start dating, there's a problem because it's not you. Can we just talk? Let's not leave the physical stuff. Can we just talk about flirting and DMs and
Sliding in the
what
DMs, yeah.
what goes on in my DMs?
Yeah. Will not
What
change
goes on
because
in
you
my
marry.
internet browser?
Mm.
Can I just speak to the guys here for a minute? I'm not going to start doing things. I'm not going to stop being drawn to porn just because I now have a wife.
Yeah.
Newsflash, to go back and answer your question, what should I be doing in my single season? Is I need to be working on that. That yeah, I'm a man and I get pulled into stuff, and before I know it, I'm in a website. I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Well, I've got to create a tool. Maybe I need a blocker. Maybe I need to set a rule for myself, like the no kissing, because some of them sound ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I won't browse on my phone on my own without a blocker at night. Is an example. It
Yeah.
sounds ridiculous, I know, but if I am saying yes to loving my wife and giving all of me to her, the Bible says this that when you get married, my my body no longer belongs to me, it belongs to her.
Mm.
But how will it belong to her if sometimes I get sidetracked?
Ooh. Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Mm.
saying. If how would your body belong to you as a female if sometimes when someone goes, "Whoa, girl, you blazing today. You're on," you give that person a part of what actually belongs to your husband. I'm just trying to put this in practical terms that it's not just for the GCs in this world. It's not just a not kissing. It's in fact because Jesus, when he speaks about adultery, he says, I have not come to replace the law. Instead, I've come to complete it. And he says, it is said that if somebody sleeps with someone, you want to stone them. Well, I've come to complete it and say, if you so much as think,
Yeah.
hello, Instagram. So, 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 so if there's something that pops up in my Instagram, even in my search tab, that's not in line with, well, how do I deal with that? Because I'm not going to start dealing with it when I'm dating or when I'm married. It's too late. So this is what I've got to be doing now. And again, to go back to the beginning with the end in mind, will then determine how I populate my boundaries. Therefore, I don't start with the no, I start with the why, because the why tells me what I say yes to,
Mm.
and then that automatically says what I'm saying no to.
Mm.
I don't live my life defined by my no's.
Yeah.
I live my life defined by my yes. Where your heart is where you most want to be and end up being.
Yep. That is so true. Yeah.
Do
Mm.
you see why it's so important to spend time praying and being rational as much as you can? By the way, can I just say, I don't trust myself. The Bible said that the heart is deceitful.
Yep.
So I also use my community to
Mm.
help me think things through. Hey, I'm thinking about a person. Many times we don't even speak about their name. I just say a person of this is what's going on with them, and we discuss them. Not the individual. We discuss the 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 the, the candidate, if you like, if I could use
Mhm.
that term, and they help me think things through.
Yeah.
Because what I don't want is later to deal with the matter and go, but GC,
Mm.
surely you could have found this out if you had asked this question.
That is so true. That is so true. So, what do you say in closing to
Yeah.
the guys out there who are, have their boundaries and all of that, and they know what they want and they're intentional, but they're having to deal with people out there saying things like, what you were saying. How are you expecting to find someone with these ridiculous boundaries,
Sure.
calling you dry, desert? People say things. What do you say to someone who's dealing with that? The pressures of society, the pressures of the world, saying you have to like sleep with her in order for you to be with her because how are you gonna know? People say things like that. So what do you say to someone who's dealing with that and also just holding on to um the commitments they've made, the yeses?
Yeah. I can relate to the pain because I'm one of those people too. So
Mm.
here's a fact. Um, if the pool was smaller because I'm looking for a Christian girl who loves God, it's just gotten even smaller because I'm now looking for a girl who is intentional about her relationship with God, herself, and others.
Mm.
That's another tier. So, fact, it's a small pool. But can I just say this to the brothers? And this is how I have to speak to myself when my emotions run away with me. The alternative is not.
Yeah. Yep.
It looks good. There's a way the Bible says that that looks good to a man, but it ends up in pain.
Yeah.
In our country, and I guess around the world too, the divorce rate is around 60%.
Sure. That
More
is
than half of
shocking.
people that get married, well, you say, oh, I can start again. Well, the trouble is, there's a woman who gets hurt, there's a man who gets hurt. Then we wonder why we have GBV. Then we have children often that are stuck in the middle, then grow up with daddy issues, mommy issues. They have confidence matters. They have gender identity trouble as they grow up. They have issues with rage, dealing with rage. The alternative is expensive.
Mm.
It seems cheap right now. I have had to come to this in transparent moment, and this is my closing thought. If I cannot be honest to myself and God about the person I'm dating is a real potential life partner, I'd rather be single.
Yep. Wow, GC, that was so good, man. Thank you so much. I feel like I can, the questions I had were definitely answered. I can take away from this that you definitely have to work on getting closer with God in your singleness and finding your purpose because you're not going to
Right,
find your purpose in your life partner. You have to find your purpose in your
right,
singleness because your singleness is
right.
a time for you to be whole. And for you to
Absolutely.
be whole, you need to, just focus on God. That's really all you
Yeah,
need, right? And also, having community to help you
Yeah.
reason, and because like you said, the heart is deceitful, and you have to have a community, obviously, that a Christian community that can speak life into you and reason with you, because
Yeah.
sometimes we make decisions based on how we're feeling and
Yeah.
forgetting the end goal, beginning with the end in mind, like you said, by Stephen
Yeah.
Covey. And also be honest with yourself and with
Yeah.
God about
Yeah.
what the things you're saying yes to, and
Yeah.
the person who's a potential partner. Like, be
Yeah.
honest with God about who they are, and if I'm say check the boxes, if I could say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was really awesome. I feel like I learned a lot. Pretty sure
So
the
glad.
guys appreciated this. This was so awesome, man. Thank you so much, GC. We really appreciate you coming through. Yeah, we
Pleasure.
learned a lot. It was great having you.
Can I just say very quickly as we
Yeah.
end off, thank you for the platform, thank you for the follow through, thank you for having me, thank you for having conversations,
Thank
and I
you.
pray that many, many more people like myself get help.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is the whole point of it. Just want to have conversations where people can learn, conversations that are real, the real
Yeah,
life things that we're going through, questions that we have, but we're scared to ask or we can't find anyone to answer. That's the whole
yeah.
point of this. Yeah, this has been another episode of Christian Ricky. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Yeah, if you guys have any questions that you'd like me to address, any kind of speakers you want to come through, please let me know. And yeah, I will definitely tackle those conversations. From me and GC,
Woohoo!
bye.
Bye.
Bye.